All right, just everyone.
I've been drinking since 2 p.m.
Kia ora and good evening, everyone. This is Bondi here from the KGC Fourball, welcoming our guests, Mr. Level Pegs, Nick Gillespie, and Cam Jones for our chat tonight. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing
Bloody
good, bro. I
good,
think
mate.
the other boys.
Very good, thank you.
Bloody
Good,
good.
very good.
Good to be here.
I'm running a little bit of backroom action here too at the same time. So sorry to our listeners if I messed it up on my first crack at this. I know we've got Mr. PVK there in the back room, who's my training wheels to teach me through here. And just like in KGC fashion, the best way to learn is just to dive right in and do it.
Hope for the best.
As always. So yeah, rightio. So firstly, want to just welcome everyone in with your beer. What's everyone drinking? Beer or a drink of choice? What have we all got tonight?
Same.
Same. Oh, Boneface.
You boys are on the Boneface again, eh? Show sponsor.
Show sponsor. What about Cam Jones? What do you got? What was that there?
I've actually gone for the classic Pals, just the vodka lime soda tonight.
Low carb, eh?
Yeah, low carb.
Low carb.
Just rocking with the old Pals now. So no more kombucha in the fridge. So it was into the Pals for me. What are you drinking there, Nick? That looked awfully red, mate.
Yeah, I just got a little soft Shiraz.
Nice.
Oh,
Sleeping pill.
Is it a South Australian Shiraz or is that
It is.
New Zealand Shiraz?
South Australian. Yeah.
Best Shiraz.
Is that bottle number what?
1.4
For the day.
A man of class on the red wine there. Beautiful.
Put the straw away.
All right. So we like to always start off with as the beginning of our podcast is check in with everybody, do a little bit of a mental checkup. So let's throw it down to Mr. Cam Jones there, our Instagram superstar. You start us off this week, mate.
I'm doing good, mate. Doing good. I think it certainly helps having some bluebird days here in Auckland. I think everybody seems to be in a better mood when the sun's out shining. So, been all good. The last 7 days has been good. Been able to play a little bit of golf. Was lucky enough to play last week with Dal Bain from Sweet Spot, and then Dan and Sam up at Aotearoa as well. And we had an epic day, heaps of fun. It was quite different actually playing without a caddy up there, but that was probably the highlight for me over the last 7 days. But yeah, what about you, Mr. Level Pig, Sam Brooks? How you doing?
Yeah, no, pretty good. A little bit of a tough week at work, but nothing too out of the ordinary. But it's actually been a little bit hot in Wellington, which is very, very rare. I think we even scratched above 20 degrees a couple of times at Royal Wellington, so it was very hot underneath the mask, which is a bit of a tough scene, but all in all, pretty good. How about you down there, Nick? How you going, mate?
I feel like, hang on a sec there, Nick. Let me just interrupt there. I feel like we should actually introduce you a little bit here. This is your first time on the Kiwi Golf Club podcast, but I think for those that don't know Nick, he's a current club fitting extraordinaire out of Boom Golf in Newton Road. But growing up, Nick was a aspiring tour pro, elite amateur, New Zealand representative, won heaps of national titles. You've played all over the world. Could go on a lot of different tangents here, telling a lot of different stories, golf course and non-golf course related, Nick. But let's that's probably as much of an intro as we need on you. So just tell us how you are now, mate.
Yeah, good. Obviously up in Auckland along with a couple of you boys. So, tomorrow obviously for us we're back into it with a few different sort of restrictions and that fun stuff, as most people listening will know. So, no, it's good. Obviously the last few weeks have been a little bit different, but it's been great. It's the most golf I've played in a very long time. So, trying to work on getting the handicap up for a few of those Christmas haggles, which is good. So,
whereabouts have you been playing?
A little bit. I joined Mangakiki,
Nice.
but there's a bit of trouble right there. So we played out at Waitakere a little bit as well, but that's too hilly. So Chamberlain Park's the current one we're trying to attack. So
yeah. Oh, how good! We'll have to go for a game, mate, up at Gulf Harbour.
And I've seen your videos. You're too good for me. I'm a part-timer these days.
That's what the handicap's for, Nick.
No, Instagram can fool a lot of people, mate.
There's a lot of editing.
that last video you got on the range there, Cam, that was like 3.5 hours to get that one. That was pretty good.
It's actually I don't know what it is.
It's tough to take a backswing tensing the whole time.
Actually, just start cramping up, eh?
Oh no!
I don't know why, but we're off track. That's it's not about me. It's about Nick Gillespie and his infinite wisdom on club fitting tonight. But Bondi, how are you getting on, mate?
Yeah, I'm going pretty good actually. The only disappointing thing this week was that I just had a shave before, and I feel like my mustache is only as long as my hair now, which isn't very long at all. So I'm really struggling in the Movember department. So I've got to probably go out and buy some creams and some pins, or I don't know. I see all that stuff on TikTok that I need help with. So I'm going to give that a crack and see how I go. But I did actually launch my longest day challenge for this year, which I was really happy with doing because it was really fun to do last year. So 200 holes in one day is going to be my new goal. So I've got about 30 days to practice and get ready for that, or do, I don't know, a run or something, because I'm so unfit. There's no way I make it.
Is that like 200 holes in one day?
Yeah. Last year,
not walking, surely not.
No. I wanted to try it, but it's at Gulf Harbour. Like last year, I did 143 holes. I think it was. Might have been 141.
When are you doing that? What date are you doing that? This one?
It's either going to be the 14th or the 22nd of December, and then try and knock out 200. I'd like to go for more, but like last time when I did it, my back seized up so early on in the day, and it was just the most embarrassing last 2 rounds you've ever witnessed. I don't think I got a single ball off the ground in my 7th round.
Sorry, Fraser, did you say 200 holes in one day?
Yeah, that's this year's goal.
That's just over 11 rounds of golf, nearly 12 rounds of golf.
Yeah,
that'd be more than you played all year, mate.
It is. That's how I found my handicap up in one day, actually. So
wow,
it was real good. I was playing off a 7 by the end of it. It was bloody brilliant. Started on 0. All right. Yeah. So also we want to welcome a new KGC member, Josh Marion, to the family this week. So welcome aboard. And we are very focused this week on club fitting and equipment and bits and pieces like that. So if you've got questions that you want us to dive in with, post those in the comments section. But firstly, we just want to sort of onboard Nick, haze him in a little bit there. So Nick, tell us about your golfing career, how you got onto golf, and what's it like been for you so far? So I started playing properly. I was sort of 11 or 12. Actually up in Auckland, folks moved to Wanganui, which if you've been to Wanganui, there's not much to do there. So golf course is pretty close. So I used to play a bit of golf there, and then hit sort of 18, and Dad goes, "Hey mate, you can either stay at home and stay at school, or I've got your job in Hawke's Bay, and there's a brand new suitcase for your birthday downstairs, and off you go." So I went over there to Hawke's Bay and ended up working for Ross Morpeth, who's a bit of a legend amongst New Zealand golf, or club pros more so. So that was me at Bridge Par for a few years, and sort of started playing, semi-decent there, and managed to do all right, and sort of made a few New Zealand teams along the way, and used to be the Titleist Academy, that sort of stuff.
reserve for Eisenhower twice, which is mint. Then very proud of that one. Then turned pro 2000 and end of 2010. Then sort of played 6 or 7 years, 7 or 8 years out there doing that between sort of Aussie, One Asia when that was still going. A bit more, then up in China for a couple of years, which is interesting. And that the PGA Tour China, the first year up there. And then, took a break completely from golf. Didn't even touch a club for almost 12 months. But still woke up thinking about golf shots, which is good. And then finished. I was always pretty close with Pete Ranford. I was pretty fortunate to work with him when I was. He taught me how to throw them without breaking them, and when I did, I'd go see him, which was he was awesome. So I worked pretty closely with him from my last sort of year or so as an amateur and through professional stuff and that. And then he sort of had a pretty cool opportunity come up at Boom Golf to go back up there, and I was working at Lamborghini Aston Martin in Auckland, which is quite different from golf. So handed in my notice in there and ended up popping up to Boom Golf and been there going on 3 years doing that side of it, which is just good fun.
Very diverse.
Some journey.
Individual. Yeah.
That's it.
You've you played a lot with Danny Lee growing up, right?
A lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Have you got 1 or 2 stories that you could share about Danny or playing with him or traveling with him or anything like that?
Not really on here. Danny was incredible. Like I've been pretty fortunate through my time to play with some pretty good players, but in terms of guys that controlled their golf ball as well as Danny did, he was amazing. Remember playing, I think must have been Mount Maunganui, and I had 2 pretty good years in New Zealand, and I think all of them I picked up just medals second to Danny every week. But it wasn't just you lost by Danny to 2 or 3 shots. Like I think the Mount Maunganui I think it was Jim Lapsley. It was I beat his record by 1 and lost by 8. Which is good. And then Springfield Open, I would have won it every year up until Danny played and lost by 6.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started to figure out that he's actually quite good. But no, a great one was we're in the States, and I traveled with them in the States, and we're playing Western Amateur. And there's a hole at the Western Amateur, which is there's probably not really a golf hole that comes close in New Zealand to how tight it was if you went for the green. You've probably got 5 yards between, or 5 meters from right side of the green to this gap between a bunker, and into your right's just a quarry dead. Left is high trees, chip out sort of thing, like short par 4. And I watched Danny knock it into the middle of the green 3 out of his 4 match play rounds. And
what year is this 2008?
This would have been where he went mental. Where he won, where he probably had one of the greatest runs of amateur golf since, Bobby Jones type thing, since those guys, or Ryan Moore. He won Western Amateur Stroke Play, Western Amateur Match Play, US Amateur, finished 20th at a PGA Tour event in the middle, won Perth at the end of the year on the European Tour. But he was just and it was amazing. So and Jim Ahern, who's the Titleist guy, who's been around their talent development guy for years, since Tiger to Ricky Fowler at that point, who was a gun, Kyle Stanley and Horschel and that. And he just sort of, when he hit his second tee shot for the day between that gap to 10 foot, I can't remember who he was playing. I think he was playing Kyle Stanley. Kyle Stanley was a gun then at Clemson, one of the state's best players. And he just kind of looked over and just goes, that's the best I've seen a guy control a golf ball, bar no one. So that's quite a big compliment to pay someone. Greatest thing about that too is that when you're traveling with him is a lot of the places you go, you had Callaway or TaylorMade or Titleist taking you out for dinner. So it was mint.
Nice.
Oh, buddy, man. Okay,
That's
well,
cool.
we're going
we'll go to the comments.
Oh no, you keep going.
I was just going to say, because if you removed Danny Lee from New Zealand golf back in 2007, 2008, Nick Gillespie was the fucking guy. Like you win those tournaments, mate, by a long shot if Danny's not here. But
right. That's been very kind.
Anyway, that was just me being a young whippersnapper, mate, looking up to the big guns in the Titleist Academy.
All right, we gotta throw a few of the comments in there, directed there at Nick. Where's your BDE hat there, Nick?
Oh, it's Isaac, isn't it? Yeah.
It's Isaac.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was at the beach most of the afternoon, so I don't know where I've put
it. Well, from James Peter, he's apparently sound like a real hustler. What we got here? I got close the course.
That's for you, Bondi.
That's for me. Jeepers. Yeah, see, this is this backroom stuff. I'm double.
I guess I can answer that. I guess when Fraser runs and controls the tee sheet at Gulf Harbour, he can do whatever he likes.
Yeah, move out of the way. No, last year we didn't close it. I actually played through quite every group. There was one group of visitors who I played through 3 times before they finished their first round. Before they finished one round, they were pretty funny actually. They were like, "What are you doing?" So it's good. And then something touch on your career. Could you touch on your career playing indoor golf at Santra Crescent, please, Nick?
Satara Crescent, please.
Satara Crescent. Sorry.
Again, see, he knows too much.
Okay.
He does.
Oh, okay. Well, a couple of quick questions that we always have to ask coming in from some earlier podcasts. But Nick, have you ever used a belly putter?
I've got a ripping story about a belly putter. So I always used a very small Titleist sort of almost blade. I think circa 62 number 2. Brooks, you're probably not sure what I'm talking about here, but like it was pure, loved it, and used to putt pretty good with it. Then it must have been 2000 and maybe end of 2000 and maybe after my second trip to the States, I think 2009. Came back, I wasn't putting very good, and I can't remember who. I think it was Matty Blackburn was working for Never Compromise at the time, and I grabbed a belly putter, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take this belly putter with me, and I went to play Singapore Amateur. And I used the belly putter the first 3 rounds, and I was 1 shot behind the lead. And I was like, last group, it's like, fuck, I can't be in a tournament being seen use a belly putter. So I went back to my Titleist blade and putted like an axe murderer, and ended up like didn't run anywhere, played shit, like shot like 1 or 2 over and ran nowhere. So it wasn't very good. So, but then we flatmate, and so I went back to my belly putter, going okay, and then went and my flatmate who I live with, which is he's a Scotty cameraman through and through. And I got back one day and got in my golf bag and I can't find my putter. And still just like that, just played innocence. And then a couple of years later, when we went over to his wedding in Rarotonga, he told me that he chucked it on the roof. So somewhere in Havelock, they might have put it on the roof. Yeah. But I did putt really good with it. So it's
okay, so we got a belly putter.
That's my belly putter.
Yeah, I just can't see you using a belly putter, Nick, to be fair.
No, well, I got T-Rex arms, so the length of my one at the moment is almost the same.
Oh, shit, that's funny.
Okay. Well, okay. Another great question is probably happened quite often, but you're in the Uber on the way home.
No. Let's go back a couple questions, Fraser, and then we'll get to that one.
Oh, is that the last one? Okay.
No, we'll go.
Which one?
We'll go on a night out. On a night out, Snake. What are you drinking?
Oh, depends if I've seen your Instagram photo during the day. If I haven't, it's tap Heineken. If I have, it'll be a gin and tonic.
Gotcha. You're in the Uber on the way home. What are you stopping to eat?
Oh,
it's not that hard.
Quick.
I don't think I have. Yeah. Should be Macca's. Should be the all day breakfast.
Nice one. And then on Sunday, you're hungover. You're on the couch. What are you watching?
At the moment, Succession.
Okay. Nice one. Bondi, you go to your questions, mate.
Yeah. Well, I'll finish up with this last one. The joggers, the pants. Are you for or against them on the golf course?
I'm 50-50. If I had mint legs, I'd be all for them. But I got shit pins, so I can never make them look quite as good as anyone else can.
There you go.
No, I'm in the same boat.
Just purely out of jealousy, I'll say no.
That was basically answered my question. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, we'll take a quick pause from that, and Cam, you can send us around the grounds. A lot of action on this week there for the
mate. There was a lot happening over the weekend. We'll start with the amateur. We've got Jimmy Zeng up at the Asian Amateur. He finished in 36th. This is a bit of a sad one because I think a lot of Kiwis were rooting for him. But on the challenge tour this week, Dan Hilly unfortunately finished +6 for the week, and he slipped out of the top 20, I think, into 22nd on the road to Mallorca standing. So he unfortunately misses out on a main tour card for next year. But it's been an all-round pretty good year for Dan up in Europe. I think he'll be pretty happy and pretty proud of how he went. At the Italian Senior Open, Michael Long finished in 30th on the Stayshore Tour, and Michael Campbell actually finished 26th at the same event. And David Smale has been playing pretty well up in Japan. He finished in a tie for 16th at the Cosmo Health Cup on the Japan Senior Tour. And here's another, I guess, return to form. And it's nice to see a few of the Kiwis playing well. But we've got Danny Lee. He finished in 7th, so that's the second top 10 in consecutive weeks at the Worldwide Tech Open on the PGA Tour. He, I think he's 14th on the President's Cup international rankings now, which is quite cool. So he's knocking on the door for a President's Cup start next year. And then Julian Alvarez, she played an event in the US on the All Pro Tour. She lost 1 down in the PXG Women's Match Play Final. And then Lydia Ko, she's back in the winner's circle, winning the Saudi International on the Ladies European Tour. And then Steve Alker, who seems to just be dominating on the Champions Tour over there, picked up his first win at the TimberTech Championship. And I think so this week he'll be playing at the Charles Schwab Cup season finale event. And I couldn't quite see where he is on the rankings at the moment, but I say he'd be a pretty good chance to, finish high up on that as well. So, yeah, lot to get through. Busy weekend for the Kiwis, but it's nice to see the flag flying high all over the world.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome out there. Right. So cutting away from that, sorry, I mean, it's massive, but I'm just looking at these points of equipment that we have to go through and the questions coming through. I mean, I've just received a paragraph from somebody, which is great.
It's
if you've got any
paragraphs,
the essay, reading that out is going to be fun. But yeah, we want to get into this equipment chat. It's a real big thing. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of confusion when it comes to equipment. A lot of advice that I feel people get for their equipment is from their Fourball that they play with because they saw something on the internet or on YouTube or overheard it at the bar or something along those lines. So it's really hard to work out where we're going to start. So maybe here's a question I'll throw out to Nick. Technology in the last 5 years, how much of a difference do you think it's made to how far the ball goes or accuracy?
Yeah, I'd probably say distance-wise, not a massive increase. You'll see a lot of things now. Again, speaking from one standpoint, the brands I work with, stability now, I think, is the latest models of drivers that we've come through. Speaking just purely from a driver standpoint, is just stable, straighter. Everyone's finding a way to make the head lighter, the crown lighter, the sole lighter. More weight you can get back to the arse of that golf club, the straighter it's going to go. Launch higher, less loft, more ball speed, all that sort of stuff. That there's guys out there a lot smarter than I am, who are absolutely just night and days is trying to find these drivers to go quicker and straighter. So I think technology-wise, there's definitely a lot more to help you out. Adjustability, that sort of thing, is huge. That's what, little things you get like loft sleeves and how you can change the tilt of a driver to try sort of really dial in that player. That sort of stuff's huge. Just having that at your fingertips when you're trying to fit someone up for a golf club is quite a big thing to have. And I think that coupled up with, and like I said, the guys that are doing all their design stuff, Callaway, Titleist. You look at what faces are made out of now and all that sort of stuff. It definitely makes our job as fitters a lot easier. But I just think that that stability for me is massive now, and what drivers were 5 years ago, even 3 years ago.
So a couple of things is what is stability? Like, explain that or define that very quickly. So people
basically, if you the tee shot that hurts you is that's what we like. I can give you anything from, I can give you a ladies driver, and your good shots are going to still be pretty good. Probably not going to go as far as when you got something that's optimal, but it's that bad one that you hit that's the one that's killing you. So it's the one where, for me, it goes going right into a pond or anything like that. It's, if you can find that your good shot or your bad shot is still within a parameter that you can play golf, or you're not reaching into your bag for another golf ball, that's a pretty big part of it. And that's what it's all about. You stand there and watch the PGA Tour, you go to a range and you see there's guys that are standout ball strikers and are always going to be that cut above, but you watch players and they will, it's the guys that don't hit a good, that their bad shots are still in play. And there's guys out there, and most golfers come in and their swing's pretty repeatable. So they've all got a pattern. You can tell that if it's your mate on the fourth tee when you're on the second green, you can go, oh, that's cool, that's Cam over there because his mate's got his Instagram camera out and he's flexing on a tee shot. But you can still tell that it's that's your swing. So that's it'll move around a little bit but it's just finding that club now that matches up to that and trying to straighten what you've got up basically is our job. And yes, Spraggsy, I just saw you, Perry Heyman with the 7-wood thing. He's an exception to the rule because he can do things with a golf club that no one else can.
Perry Heyman is always an exception to the rule.
He's a freak. Absolutely.
No one generates speed like that. No one.
Yeah. He'd be one of the longest hitters in New Zealand history, wouldn't he?
In the world.
Spraggs, I don't know. I think Spraggs might have been there on this. Was it the 7th tee at Heratonga? We're playing Trans Tasman, and me and Foxy are there, and we're young and dumb and all that stuff, and we stood there and hit 2 pretty good drives, and Perry's jumped off the surrounds mower and work boots and hit it and Flo and me and bounced it past Foxy. So that was it's quite impressive.
Nice.
Yeah,
following up on your question,
I've seen him hit a ball over the first green at Royal Wellington on the fly, and that must be about 350, 360 carry. So he can get speed out of somewhere. Who knows where it comes from? But yeah.
Hey Nick, with your chat about stability, if you're looking at a player, good player, bad player, tour pro, whoever, would you say the biggest if you're looking at someone's numbers, whether it's their club face, their path, would you say that just the quality of the strike is often an overlooked part of where the ball actually goes in terms of how well or where on the club face it's actually hit? Like, is that what you're talking about, where drivers these days, the mishits are just getting that much better off the heel and toes?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You got things like, for example, Taylor may have twist face, or you've got things where on say Callaway Max, you can move the weight. You got the ability to move the weight around behind that. Again, and it's an individual thing for fitters and what they will want to do. And you see on the new Titleist TSI range, which you've got the little slots on the back there where you can move a club. And some people will go, oh, cool, I'm missing it right, I'm going to chuck it in the heel to turn it over. Or some people will go, hey, look, all right, if I'm slapping it with a toe strike, I'm going to chuck the weight out towards the toe, so it's a little bit more stable. You think the weight behind the toe when you're hitting that, less twist, the more straight that ball's going to go. So it's all, there'll be fitters' preferences and what they work around, but just having the ability to do that in equipment now is a pretty big thing. That gives us another tool to help you guys out to hit straighter golf shots. And at the end of the day, that's all we want to do. It's like, I wish it was all stories of coming in and grabbing 30 yards and that, and you get that outlier to that where someone will come in using something from a little bit longer ago, or it could just be the wrong golf club that they picked up off a mate for a couple of beers type of thing like that. So it's certainly more now about just dialing in, and all the brands make great golf stuff, make great kit, and all very, very fast drivers, but it's that little sort of difference between finding what works for for Sam compared to what works for Cam, what works for me. So it's just dialing that in and really personalising that club setup for you.
How important is head size on a driver in terms purely for forgiveness? I guess using something like the D4, like that Titleist made, which is the smaller head, versus something that's like 460cc. Like, does it really make that much difference for forgiveness?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably that TSI 4 as sexy as it looks. It's like driving a Formula One car. Like, you've got there's nothing when you jump. There's nothing when you jump in that goes, hey, look, you need to know exactly what you're doing with it. So it's great if you're Adam Scott, if you're Daniel Hillier, if you're whoever's using it as well. If you're a high spin player, grouse. But if you can't control that club face, then it's mint. It'll be going a long way. But if you're playing 3 from the tee, but then you jump in something that's very, very stable. Just so if you comparative to the Titleist brand, say something like a TSI 2, which weight sits further back. Sammy probably knows a little bit more about these ones than I do, but that's going to be, again, something that still fast, but makes it a lot easier to keep that thing on the planet, which is what it's all about.
Does TaylorMade and Callaway do smaller head models? Or like Ping, Mizuno, do they do smaller models as well, or is it just...
There was an M5 Tour with TaylorMade when they did that. You get sort of... the guys designing them are so good at tricking you that now if you grab something like the Speed, the Triple Diamond, you put that down, you're like, man, that's way smaller. But it's just, it takes your eyes in different places. So you put that down to the Max. Max is flatter, sits back. Speed's sort of more that Japanese style, sort of smaller, tighter head shape.
All right. Well, Jesus, this is very hard to direct this sort of where we could go from this technology point of view or equipment point of view. Very quickly, I just want to ask Sam a question here. Sam, what is your opinion? Does fitting make a difference, or does it only make a difference to maybe like plus 20 or less than 20 handicapper? What's your opinion?
No, I think it makes a difference to anyone, but I think Nick touched on it. If the golf club you're currently using is wildly incorrect, then fitting can gain you 30 yards, 30 meters, whatever. If it's not too far off, then it might be just the finer details and stability, and maybe losing one less golf ball, or maybe even hitting half a fairway. And over 4 rounds, that adds up. May not seem much for a 20 handicapper, but over time it does. So I think it will definitely affect everybody, some more than others.
Yeah. Well, that really going to lead me into this first question here about distance out there on the golf course. So I got a question here from James Peter. How many meters off the tee am I losing these days, Nick? I have a 2003 Titleist 983K, but can't see myself upgrading. I hit it too good. What's your thoughts?
I had that driver as well in 2003. It's always tricky. You look at something that if you love, great, take it to the fitting, mate. Like that's if you can't find anything that doesn't go as good as what you've got, then perfect. Like if you've got a club that you're hitting great, then that's what you want to bring in. If we go, hey, look, cool, he's got X shaft in it and it does this, it does that, graphite blue, whatever, it's 9.5. Perfect. That is the best starting thing for us, is to go, hey, look, I've got this driver. Show me there's something out there that does better. You probably say technology's come a little way since 2003. Look at your cell phone, look at your driver, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'd take it to the fitting and go, hey, mate, look, here we go.
Oh, one there from
3K is still legal face.
Is it?
I don't think it is, if you're playing tournament level golf.
3K.
I think the K's legal.
The K's all right. Yeah.
Oh,
maybe not your one, Sippo, because the middle's worn out.
Yeah. Come on, upgrade.
So the thing is that, especially for people that are probably starting out, this factor, or people have been playing for a while, the fact of going to a fitting and doing a fitting doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have to buy a new golf club, right? It means that you might find out that your club that you're hitting right then is perfect for you and you're happy with it. So you shouldn't be scared of going through that process.
Nah, and it's like it doesn't look good if you go into a fitting and you get, hey, look, here's a set of golf clubs. These are great. They're shiny. They're expensive. you go off and they don't go better than what you've come in with, then it's if you've got something that's working, and that's kind of the tricky thing about fitting. There's a thing you guys, I know Sammy, will you see now is the fitting worth it? Is it worth it if you're a high handicapper? Probably it's good now having two guys that probably have a bit more to do with equipment and two guys that have a bit more one-on-one coaching. Is that the last thing you want to do as a coach is to be fighting equipment as well, and that's all we're sort of all you try to do from a fitting thing is that if it's pretty easy to see on the screen the driver with the red lines or the driver with the yellow lines, which one goes better. So if your one goes better, sweet, that's cool. If we find an iron or a wedge or a little angle tweak, or it could be a grip size or half an inch in shaft length, that sort of stuff. And that's what you get down to. It's a degree here and there. It's these tiny increments, and it's working like it's probably more so with guys who play a 15 or 20 than it is for guys like Foxy or Hendry or whoever or who else comes in and that, because they've been so dialed for so long. You're talking such small numbers, but whereas you get guys who haven't had a fitting at all or have been using potentially the wrong stuff, you're going to start fighting that over time, and that sort of goes against progression, I guess, in the right way.
So I want to get into some more specific sort of stuff. And one that always comes up, and it bugs me on that used golf club page, beyond. I cannot. It bores me blood. I've had to log off a few times there.
Used twice.
You'll have used twice, and so you'll have a driver shaft. It might be a tailor-made. It might be a Titleist, or whatever it is. And you'll have it's a ladies flex, an A flex, a regular, a stiff, an X flex, and what does that matter? How much does that affect things when you're trying to buy a golf club? Like, do I need to be an X flex because I think I swing it a bit faster, or?
Yeah, it's always it's funny when I know Sammy loves this question more than I do, so I'll probably leave this one to him. But yeah, it's what's a stiff flex, and it's what's an X flex. It's what goes best. Yeah, and it's always one that there's always the little sort of thing that goes, oh shit, look, I want to use an X flex, or I should be 70 grams because my mate Bondi at the range he uses
technical difficulties.
There you go. But it's more. It's a tough thing to sort of almost police or check. Is that you get something that might be from a different manufacturer. A Miyazaki stiff in a lightweight shaft is very, very different. They trick you by chucking a flex code down the bottom, which you guys don't have to worry about, but it's quite different than one of their other drivers that'll have a stiff shaft as well, which plays significantly different than their 45 gram stiff. So that's why the idea of going to a fitter and have someone who can stand in front of you and tell you the difference between this Tensai Blue or Tensai Orange or Oban Devotion or Speeder 661, all the stuff you don't have to worry about too much, but hopefully the guy there handing you the different clubs will know.
Yeah, so if I buy a Titleist stiff flex or a TaylorMade stiff flex, they might be slightly different, even though they both say stiff on them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's like got a lot of guys who have I've got a 60 gram. So you'll look at it, it'll say stiff flex 60, and you're like, oh yeah, man, that 60 could be 71 grams, or it's all sort of smoke and mirrors with guys.
There's no industry standard.
Absolutely, yeah.
The amount of times I took my clubs into smoke and mirrors, the amount of times I took clubs with Pete, and he would do the swing weights, do the overall weights, and measure the weights of the shafts and stuff like that. There's sometimes unbelievably far out that you're wondering how can they actually.
He's really quiet and doesn't really let you know too if they don't match up.
Yeah. But
he just gets it done correctly.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to another part. So let's go with one thing. This is for me, and I might learn something quite a lot here. Is where do you start with, like, if you are going to go out and do a bit of a fitting? Like, if you could if we can make it basic, is it like you start with like length, grip size, hit a 7-iron? What's a quick process if you could?
Yeah, so something that I sort of buy, again, everyone's different. For me, I want to try to get centeredness of strike there as quick as I can. If it's length, if it's profile of shaft, all that sort of stuff, I'm pretty fortunate where I am. We've got Gears 3D, so I get 600 pretty cool images down to the accuracy of the thickness of a bit of paper in the first few swings. So I've got a bit of a head start. But now you'll see with the technology in GC Quad and TrackMan, and they can do that. You can you start to see that. So for me, I start if we can get close to the center of the club face, cool. We can start dialing in all of that after that. So it's that for me, whether it's length phrase, you see a lot of guys now, or a lot of drivers you'll see on your rack as well, are 45.5, 45.75, and that. And I'd probably say up until Bryson effect on the PGA Tour, a lot of guys are around about that 45.25, playing a slightly heavier shaft, and he's probably moved the needle a little bit in terms of length of shaft and weight of shaft that guys will start to play. But yeah, that for me, if you can get if you get the ball in the middle at 45 inches, we don't need to go up to 45.5. That's, again, I'm great if we pick up distance, but I want you on the fairway. That's the biggest thing for me is 100%.
Nice. I got a question for you, Nick. With I guess entry level golfers, do you ever have people coming in that are sort of just starting the game that may struggle with just purely making contact with the ball, where they're, that centeredness of strike piece is something that they're not producing consistently? To what sort of detail would you go with them?
They'll sort of have a bit of a pattern, which is that's what you want to look for straight away. So there'll be a pattern on what they're doing, where they're striking it, and then you've kind of got to go, all right, cool. Are you working with someone? Great, I'm working with Cam Jones. Cool. So obviously doing arms, and then you can work more into that of So you're just sort of trying to make if I've got a guy come and seeing you, and you'll go, cool. What are you working on with Cam? And then I go, great. I'm working on more depth, doing this, turning back. So I can go, sweet. Well, we can do your clubs this way to make it easier now, or this way to make Cam's job easier. And that's sort of, we do. I personally like to sort of see that a lot, that it's kind of, you don't want to put a Band-Aid on a broken arm if it's someone who's working at their golf. And you get some guys that just want a Band-Aid. Will come in and go, 30 minutes, mate, I'm missing it right. Let me hit an apple turnover. Sweet, cool, off you go. And that's great. But the other way, if you we're pretty lucky and fortunate that we've got a few guys who keep coming back. So we want to make sure that they're working in with their coach, and if we can talk to the likes of talking to Wheelie about what he's working on with Foxy. Probably one of the coolest ones was probably strayed a little bit away from the beginner golfer, but even Toomey. So things like lie angles. If lie angles for Toomey can help Toomey, who's one of our best performing professionals domestically over the last few years, and in Australia, what can it do for a guy off 20 who's struggling to crack an egg? It's going to be quite a big difference.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just ask Nick, what are Luke Toomey's lie angles?
Flat.
he's like 6 flat, isn't he?
I've done things with the bar that I'm not proud of to get those irons.
Things can get wild. Things can get wild, right?
But that's probably one of the probably one of the coolest sessions I've had. Is I've always been quite close with Luke since he was last year as an amateur. He came and played with us. The team I was playing with in Fiji, and that. So Luke's very, very intelligent when it comes to his golf clubs, his golf swing, and that. And he won't. It reminds me a little bit of Mike Hendry. They'll come fully loaded with every bit of info they can grab, and they'll know everything they're working on and what they want to do. So it kind of makes those ones the most fun, but the hardest to do. And Toombs will come in and goes, I always miss it left when I warm up. And that's kind of me and Peter have looked at each other and gone, all right. So I hit a couple, and again, we've got So we've ended up banging his line angles about 3 degrees flat from where they were. And he's gone out and won, I think the first one he won was Pegasus, does that sound right? And then just went on a streak since there and won like 4 or 6 or 5 or 6. And all that is we're doing nothing. There's nothing remarkable about what we've done to his golf clubs. It's just we've matched his golf clubs up to him. So it's and that's all you want to do is just personalize them to yourself.
The question, if I just jump in there on that, where in the process with Toombs did he come for that club fit? Because obviously, is that getting them say sent from factory or sent from wherever, and then coming to you after playing around with them a little bit, or like how often are you changing things like that with some?
Yeah, Toombs was the first times I saw Toombs up there since I'd been there. So he'd been working with would have been Andrew Hwynen at the time at Titleist. Which Andrew's great. He was unlucky enough to work with me for a few years, and worked with quite a few of the Kiwi boys through it. So we knew, Andrew's good bugger. But that was sort of the extent of it. Would be you'd be at an event and cool. Let's pop onto the range. We've got a new iron out grouse. Come and hit a few shots of this and that, and it's probably like I've been at Andrew's his setup in Melbourne. And it's very, very different to how he was when he's on the range at Fiji International or Aussie Masters and that. So you're probably not getting into that massive amount of detail. Whereas we've got a cool camera system that barks that at us, and we can go, "Hey, mate, look, there you go." And that again, just grabbing that quality of data, doing that, double checking it with the quad, seeing where the impact was, seeing where the dynamic low angle, is, and all that. So then it stood out pretty quickly for us and just goes, cool, that's what we need to do. And that's what ended up being for Toombs was just ripping those low angles down, finding the top end of the bag that he can take spin off pretty easily. So finding something that spins more and just working with his miss and his pattern, and that was that for him.
Nice.
So what about the longer irons? Say, what if there's just like a touch too much offset? How do you remove that offset? Specifically from the 4 iron.
God, I sell them a blade.
So do you use a specific object to do that at all?
Maybe.
All right. So I just want to jump into the comments. We've got heaps coming through, so thanks for that. And we're flying, boys. Like we're 47 minutes in already. But talking about being 47 minutes in, Max turned up about 35 minutes late after listening to the start of the last week's one. So he's a podcast and a half all the way through. From the back room there, PVK, 100% fitting was worth every dollar. Did the boom fitting with Nick and Gears, worked a treat. And he followed that up with, this is not a paid ad. Sure. To back that up and reinforce that, Sippo's come in with, shit, Nick, when did you get so smart? So you must have learned a lot there, which has been real good. And quick question, actually, here, this is probably a kind of important one from Dan Crook. Thoughts on capping the shaft at 46-inch?
Hate it. I'm all for if you can keep that thing on the planet at 47.5. Good on you. Yeah. And I know Dan gets into this long drive stuff, and he can keep it on the planet. So, I just think, I think they're going. Again, this could be a wormhole that you could just keep going down.
Another
but
podcast,
I think they've done it. I think it's the wrong way to go. What they're trying to fix would be capping a driver at 46.
Yeah, it probably affects the amateur more than it's really going to affect the professional. It's not really going to change their game that much, which is what we've talked about before.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amateurs that could probably benefit from a slightly longer shaft than just to gain distance, because a lot of the time distance can be more benefit than hitting it a tiny bit straighter.
So. Absolutely. Yeah. So and again, that comes down to it's massively individual, like everything. If you've got a guy that needs the old sweet swinging 4 handicapper for 25 years at Royal Wellington,
away in 14 years. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Exactly.
And things how they change, because somebody say, like, I mean, I hear it all the time. They're spraying their driver, they want to cut it down, or they hit their 3 wood better, and there's lots of things we could dive into why that matters. But this one here from Dean, just actually asking, like, how much is it significantly harder as the club gets longer to keep it in play, or is that a personal thing?
It's such an individual thing. You have guys who when the head goes longer, they'll go, oh shit, I can feel the head, so they might dump it out more in front of them, and all of a sudden that changes their strike from slightly heel bias to more towards the toe, or completely vice versa. You might have someone who can't hit a shovel at 45.75 and you cut it down. It's so, or what again, everyone's different. What I've found is it's such a different, so different from person to person. I'd probably say a lot, Dino, a lot of the better, faster guys I've worked with, from them, the benefit of going something slightly shorter, saying that most of them have probably been going a little heavier in terms of shaft as well. You think a guy like Foxy he's in a Ventus Black 7X, so for him it's a 78 grams. So for him, he's got that at basically 45.25 in the grip. So for him, that's sweet. Would he get more speed and probably find a way to find a fairway with something longer and lighter? Probably, but for him, that's what works best. Toombs is pretty similar. He's in a 65 Kiyoshi, 65 grams. Again, sort of 45.5, so nothing too crazy in terms of length. And then you'll see with amateurs, and again probably relating to Dean, because I know his close relationship with Titleist and that. You look at the TS1, that they've got that TSI1, I think, is being able to have a lighter head to be able to increase that distance, increase that length on the shaft without it feeling like you're throwing lead down the end of it is massive. So a guy who all of a sudden is a little bit slower can pick up a little bit more juice and still play that length without losing too much sort of dispersion as well.
I got a question for you, Nick, and this is, I think, geared towards some of the tour pros. How much, I guess, how important is it factoring in some tournament conditions where guys might, I think for me it's more related to swing speed, and when players are coming down the stretch, they might be a little bit nervous and actually trying to almost forecast how they might be swinging it under the gun. Like, do you guys do anything in your fitting sessions to try and recreate like the similar sort of environment? Because obviously,
show them an invoice.
Because like obviously, I mean, when you're hitting in a net and you're on the in the gear system, you've got the GC quad out, you can easily just be chasing numbers and trying to hit it really far. But there's one which is the worst thing, is it's probably our best golfer at the moment. Is that he'll come in and it's a competition, so he'll hit, you know what I'm talking about, he'll hit 6 shots and then just start trying to go, what did old mate get last week, and trying to crank out ball speed, which is Foxy. But he's very different to the rule, because you've got to sort of, once you get and I love Foxy like a brother, and he's probably the most incredible ball striker I've ever seen, but you've got a finite amount of time with Trotter before he will lose interest and start smashing it. So you've got 20 shots where you've got to find it, and if you don't find it in that 20, he's not interested. He's fishing. So for him, it's wicked, because you've got this little thing. But he's such a field player that he'll sit there and go, all right, I need to be able to hit a knuckle cut at 185 because I want to hit that down the 18th. And if he can see that shot where it doesn't move too much to the right or spin up too much for him, perfect. Yeah. And that's all you're trying to find. All you're trying to find for those guys and those players is Mike's a little bit. He's a little bit different. He sort of wants to move the ball right to left, but doesn't want to see it fall right. So again, all you're trying to do with him, and he's an Iron Byron. So Hendry is. He's a machine.
Yeah, tilts the ball like very, very little, but doesn't like to see it fall right. So you start to get to like point degrees of how much a ball's tilting on your axis and that sort of stuff. And that's line ball. That's for him, it's an 1/8 of an inch with a driver. and it's how you tip the driver. So it's all, and that's it. If they don't have faith in you doing what you're trying to do and sell them, then how are they supposed to trust that on the 71st hole of the New Zealand Open with piss on the right and win from the left type thing? So all you're trying to do is sort of get them in the right kit that they can hit the shot they need. Like they're so good that they can. Again, you can give them a ladies driver from downstairs; they're going to be able to hit a shot with it. But you just want them to have faith in that. And but for those guys, it's not. The margins are so small, but it's the most fun one to get when you get a guy who's gone, oh, sweet, and then you walk out going, shit, sweet. I might have gained 5 meters, but all of a sudden I can turn one over as well. So it's
Right, nice. Well, we're getting far out. We've got through 55 minutes. I just want to get into some like real sort of simple ones. Just maybe try to get rid of a bit of misinformation, maybe that might be out there. So quickly is how much does brand matter?
Yeah, doesn't.
Yes or no? Does it?
It's like a perfect world. Like anything, you've got every brand. We all, both 4 of us in this room, know pretty good that, or for us in chat, that the way things are and how everything's set up is that at the moment it's quite tough to be able to have all brands. What we do, if you've got one, we've got fitting tips and hosels and everything for every brand. So you're welcome if you can source one to bring one in and see how it goes. And I said before that the biggest thing for us is finding something that works the best. It doesn't matter if your 3-wood doesn't match your irons or whatever, or your head cover clashes with your putter cover. As long as it works, that's the most important thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. As long as we buy it from Boom Golf, it's the most important thing. They do.
We don't sell clubs, mate. We just
sell clubs. I sell the experience. Which is really good. It's a massive part of it. It's interesting, I find, where you have people say, I see a personal trainer, or I see, get a plumber in or whatever who's fixing your house, but then all of a sudden they go and pay to go get a fitting, and it's like there's so much distrust. It's like, hang on. Yeah, you're paying somebody who's an expert at their job to go and do that job. You should listen to them, not try and match the numbers that your mate made a couple of days beforehand. So I've got so many more questions that are just absolutely flying through, but we are getting real short on time.
We might have to have an episode 2.
Yeah. How do you feel about coming back, possibly, Nick? I mean, surely they've only got through one bottle of red wine.
Nah, that's what you think.
He's got a couple of bottles of red wine.
Not my first dance. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get a bit more particular, mainly because I've got this question here, and there's no chance I'm going to be reading this. It almost takes.
You want me to read that one out, Fraser?
I can leave it with me. need to knock $1,000 off. Swing speed of 100. Playing rogue 10.5.
This is Nick reading it in his head right now. We've got.
All right. Can we find out if Nick's still listening?
He is still listening.
He'll be around.
Wait,
he'll be listening.
Where's your miss?
Yeah, we can answer that one in the comments.
Is it a problem?
Which way do you go?
Not sure if the Boom Boys do Mizuno. That's another thing he's looking at there. Nick, what we'll do is we'll fire that one through to Nick. We'll fire that one through to Nick, and he can try and answer that one for you.
Yeah.
In the comments, or we can even leave his business contact information, and we can book you in for one of those.
Yeah, maybe a little cheeky DM.
Yeah, that could be it.
Booking a fitting.
We also missed out.
Find out if 3.5 is a problem.
We also
may
missed
not be a
out
problem.
every ad break that I was meant to have planned, because we're just absolutely flying by the seat of our pants. But obviously, thanks to Boneface for supporting us up here in the podcast. I also want to say, I know that Mr. Andrew over there at Tattoo Golf has some pretty cool ugly polos going for his brand right now, if you want to get into those. And we also want to give a bit of a shout out to Lululemon, who have given us a bit of a uniform to demo, as maybe we look at expanding our range there with a pair of joggers that now I'm on board with the joggers crew. Yes, I'm now a joggers guy. I've been doing calf exercises for the last 3 weeks.
No, it's the ankles phrase.
Is it?
Yeah, ankles.
It's all ankles.
It's all ankles. Yeah, you need to tan them up.
Need to turn them up there for sure. So, do we have any?
Outside, bro.
We've got to get out of track here very quickly. We've got to leave this for the backroom part. So I want to leave it on sort of final comments. Mr. Sam Brooks, final comments that you got there.
Is this a grind my gears segment?
Oh yeah, we can turn this. We'll do grind my gears / final comments. Let's do grind my gears. What's grinding?
Actually, I had an instance today that made me think of this, but sometimes people just need to be happy when they come to golf. You know, like people turn up to golf. Like
It's such a Wellington
was like 22 degrees and like 0 wind, which is very rare. We had some players turn up that were weren't even happy, and like, what do you? Be happy, man. Like, you look at this beautiful day. Like, look at the situation you're in. Like, why are you unhappy right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, man, if you're gonna go to the golf course, like, you deserve to be there. Be happy. Like, enjoy it. I think that's my little comment today.
What about Nick? Any what's a grind your gears thing that might have got under your skin this week, this month, anything there nice and small?
I'm going to go purely from a club fitter standpoint on this one.
Here we go.
Is the one that gets me, and I know that all the guys out there that work their ass off to make sure that each customer that they get comes through and is happy, is the golf clubs, the used golf clubs page where it's used for 2 or 3 rounds or 2 or 3 times to the range.
Just twice.
Yeah, I don't.
From brand new.
Yeah, that's my one. Yeah, that's my one. That's my little chuckle each morning when I wake up to myself. Yeah.
Too stiff. It's got to go.
Too silver.
Cam Jones, anything that's got you?
Not really, Not really, to be honest. I think.
God, it's nice to be Cam Jones.
It is.
No, to be honest, I think on the topic of club fitting and coaching people, I think, people getting fresh into the game. I've given a few lessons to some people new to golf over the last few weeks, and it's a really interesting conversation trying to have with them when they're obviously just getting into it and, paying green fees, paying for lessons and that kind of stuff. It can be a pretty big task early on if you're not quite sure on the game. And I think just trying to slowly encourage them into trying some clubs out that could be a little bit more beneficial for them. Doesn't necessarily grind my gears, but it's just something that I've noticed because it does make a pretty big difference. Like when someone's coming in with some 25-year-old Wilson irons that have no forgiveness whatsoever.
I don't need good golf clubs.
Yeah, that's
you hear that?
Yeah, all the time, mate. And they kind of say, like, when I get to a 10 handicap, I'll buy myself a set of nice cavities, or
I don't need a good golf ball.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And I think, I think a new set of clubs or a new set of driver, a new driver or something that's fitted may actually help you get to that goal faster. I think that's something that's hugely important, but I think there's got to be a way to go around having that conversation with people, because you can't just tell someone to just go and buy stuff. But and then on that topic as well, I think probably one of the more overlooked aspects of playing the game and improving and dispersion, because that's obviously the name of the game, is actually paying attention to the golf ball that you're using. Like over the last few months, like I've been playing around with a few different balls.
Do they make a difference?
They do make a big difference. They make a mess. I reckon they do anyway.
I just use a range ball, whatever I find in the lake. No.
The difference between like a 2-piece and a 3-piece, like I've gone from using like Pro V to a Bridgestone to using Volley, who one of my friends and clients who's creating that ball, Kiwi brand, like I'm a huge fan of it. But it performs really well. But yeah, I think just paying a little more attention to the golf ball that you use, because like even not just distance, but actually the direction as well is so important. But almost, that's me. So I guess I'm having no issue.
Almost like you use it for every shot, eh?
Yeah. And how often do you hear, I just want to be consistent?
Okay.
What golf ball do you use? I use just whatever I find in the water.
Yeah.
And like it's a very easy way to create consistency, whether it be ball flight, whatever. It's going to perform the same or very, very similar because it's the same product. And it's sort of cheap as well. doesn't have to be
And
expensive.
an example of that, I was playing last Friday with a couple of mates, and we're on the 7th at Gulf Harbour, and we're all having a crack at the green because there's no wind, it's really nice, whatever. And he pulls out like it's probably like a 15-year-old golf ball. It's his water ball, just because he doesn't want to lose his nice ones in the water. And he actually hit the ball, hit a really, really nice drive.
I get that.
And it just spun up a lot. It probably would have had like 4,000 RPMs, and he just didn't quite cover the lake. Whereas I'm confident that if he was using like a modern ball, whether it was a 2-piece or a 3-piece ball, it probably would have carried. So yeah, I don't know. That's probably it for me. A little bit about equipment and balls. What about you, Fraser? You wrap it up, mate.
Oh yeah, I've had a great week, and so that's it for us. We've had a good one, but we're ticking over time. I want to make sure that we get Nick back. I think if you've got any comments, specific golf questions for your equipment, please post that in the comments. We'll compile them, and we'll look at probably addressing those in another episode further down the line once he restocks on the red wine. But thank you very much, Nick, for coming along, Mr. Level Pegs, Cam Jones, and everyone for tuning in. That was absolutely awesome. I've learned a lot, and hopefully everyone else has too. So that's it.
Cheers, boys.
Good night.
Thanks, lads.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Oh, there's